Hello and welcome back to the channel. I've done several videos on Comica microphones in the past and several videos on microphones on this channel in the recent past, so it's not terribly surprising that Comica reached out yet again and offered to send out a couple of products for me to take a look at. One of these two is something I've been looking at for quite a little while and just haven't been able to bring myself to purchase. Luckily, they shipped it out to me for free, so again, thanks to them for sending these things out. The other one's kind of new and interesting and different. So the primary item here is the Comica LinkFlex AD2. It's a 6.35mm to 3.5mm XLR to 3.5mm audio preamp adapter for both your camera and your smartphone. As you can probably see on here, it does have a TRRS, tip ring sleeve plug, same kind of plug you'd use on a smartphone if it still has a 3.5mm plug, but apparently there's some hardware in there, there's something built into it that allows it to disable one of those rings so it works just the same on a camera as it does on your phone. There's just a switch on the side of it you have to flip. The other thing we're going to take a look at, the slightly more expensive item here, the one that I was really excited about, because hopefully it'll make my video audio setup just a little bit better. I'm currently using a Behringer XM8500 dynamic microphone. It's a mic that you're intended to use handheld. It's just like a stage microphone, but it has decent sound quality, and I think I paid 20 bucks for it like 3 years ago. Hopefully this one will be significantly better. This is the Comica CVM-VP2 super cardioid condenser shotgun microphone. It says it has low noise, it supports 48 volts phantom power, which the capture device that I use for my audio does have phantom power built in, but I think it also supports putting your own battery in just in case you don't have phantom power. It's full metal, it has lots of shielding. There's some more information on the back. The polar pattern is super cardioid, 20 Hz to 20 kHz frequency range, low cut filter at 100 Hz, sensitivity of negative 38 decibels, plus or minus 3, impedance, signal to noise ratio. You can read all that, I don't need to read it to you. But it has a 3-pin XLR output, 1.5 volt AA battery option, or again, 48 volts phantom power, which I can provide. So I thought first we'll take a look at the LinkFlex, then we'll pull out the microphone, see if we can put the two together, go directly into the camera just to see what it sounds like. We'll also take the microphone directly into my Tascam audio recorder and let's just get to it. Let's not talk about it. So inside of the LinkFlex box, there's a little warranty information and a user manual, a strap, I guess in case you want to strap it to something, some silica gel, and the Comica LinkFlex AD2. You can see here at the end it does have that TRRS jack on it, the 3.5mm. This would appear to be a volume knob, headphone output for monitoring, a couple of switches on the side. Not entirely sure what those do yet, but we will find out shortly. There is a strap section along the back here where you'd be able to put in that strap if you wanted to attach it to something. And then here's where 9-volt battery will go. There's also a clip on the side so you could clip it to something instead, and the XLR port here on the top. In the VP2 box, get the user manual on the top again with a warranty card, some more silica gel, two different mounting options, one with a tripod mount, the other one with a 5/8 inch mount with a 5/8 to 3/8 inch adapter inside of it. These feel very solid, very sturdy. A little bit of a windscreen, not a dead cat per se, but just something to keep the plosives at bay. And the ooh, that's a pretty heavy microphone actually. It has a 3-way switch on it. You have off, you have flat, and then you have the low cut filter. I believe it does unscrew here. Yeah, I can just go ahead and unscrew like that. And the end comes off. That's where the AA battery would go. Screw it back together because I'm not using AA right now. This is all metal construction, feels very solid. This end does feel a little bit heavier though. I mean, if I wanted to find the point of balance, I think it would be, yeah, right about here where it splits. Really nifty pattern there on the end, but very straightforward in terms of design. There's not a whole lot of buttons and switches, just the one to turn it on and off and to turn on that low cut filter if you want it. Oh, and down underneath, even more toys. You get a reasonably short male to female XLR cable, another relatively short XLR to 3.5mm cable, and then a Comica branded pouch to carry everything in case you wanted to carry it somewhere, and that's everything. So I think what we'll do now, we'll take just a couple of minutes. Luckily, I do have a second microphone stand I just happen to have on hand that I've put in place, so I can go ahead and set this second microphone up so we can do some A/B testing. We'll be right back. And we're back. I have my same setup here that I would normally have, my Behringer XM8500 piped into the Tascam DR60D Mark II, and I'm capturing straight from that. I do have to bump the audio in post about 16 decibels from that. I mean, it's a ridiculous amount. I have to pump that, but it always gives me pretty clean sound. Then on the other side, which I've just now switched to, I have the Comica CVM-VP2 plugged into the Comica AD2 LinkFlex, plugged directly into the camera. So I've got microphone going into the LinkFlex adapter with the 48 volts of phantom power turned on, and I'm just gonna go ahead and turn this on so you can see what I'm talking about. There's the microphone going into the AD Flex, going over into the camera. This is not a pretty setup, and I had some trouble getting the straps all around the AD Flex. Just realized I walked away from the microphone. I had some trouble getting the straps into the AD Flex properly, but it is on there kind of securely. So I just thought we'd go right back and forth a couple of times. This is the way that I would normally speak, about the volume I would normally speak at. My Behringer mic might have gotten shifted around a little bit, playing around with everything. The Comica microphone seems to be a lot hotter. I plugged it into the same cable that I had been using with my Behringer, and it just about blew my eardrums whenever I put the headphones on. So I'm very curious how it's going to sound going directly into the camera. So I think I'll take a minute, take everything over to the computer, and see how it all sounds. Be right back. Okay, here's another quick test. Overhead, I have the Comica VP2 that I've been testing, but I dug around on my shelves and found the Marantz Audioscope SG5B. I made a video about this a while back. Just listening to the two of them side by side, I have them both plugged into my Tascam DR60D, and I'm going to be going back and forth here. It sounds like the VP2 has a much cleaner signal. It does have a supercardioid pickup pattern. The Marantz has a supercardioid as well as a cardioid pickup pattern. I have it on the supercardioid right now, which I think drops the bottom end out entirely and makes it like 200 hertz to 16 kilohertz, which is a much reduced area. This is not the one I'm reviewing in this video, but I'm just testing here. And I just flipped the switch on the Marantz to take it back to its cardioid pattern because my experience, it took out a lot of the noise from it, but again, we're not here to test the Marantz mic, we're testing the Comica mic. I do have them both probably 8 to 10 inches away from my mouth, pointed directly at my mouth, but they're overhead, so that should keep a lot of the plosives at bay. And for the sake of comparison, again, I know these microphones are supposed to get significantly better the closer you get them to your mouth. So I have these both probably 2 inches away from my mouth, and I'm gonna just go back and forth between them. Definitely very awkward feeling, but this should give you sort of a good feel for the comparison between the two. And just checking on my meter over there, it does appear like they're getting a little bit loud. Hopefully I can catch that in post, but we'll see. And I'll try to describe down below what I have to do to the audio to make it sound halfway usable. But I'm not gonna do any real editing or anything. I don't like to take it into Audacity and make changes. I'm just gonna bring it into Final Cut and add or remove gain as necessary. And back one more time, the Marantz microphone was just, well, it was not terribly good. However, this is a $50 microphone that at the time when I bought it was $15, so it's really hard to complain too much about it, but I'm putting it to the side. I'm back to using the Comica VP2 and my Behringer XM8500. As I mentioned, the Behringer is a handheld microphone, so it's more intended to be held right here by your mouth, and I'm using it about 8 to 10 inches away from my mouth. And it is kind of like comparing apples and oranges, but in the limited time that I've spent with it, there are a few things that I've noticed. One, using the LinkFlex AD2 that came along with this, plugged directly into the camera, introduced more noise. Normally I get very clean audio when I plug directly into my camera, which is currently the Sony a6300, and this did have a little bit of noise added to it. I plugged the microphone directly into my Tascam, no, at least not much noise. But when I compare the Comica plugged directly into the Tascam to my XM8500 Behringer microphone plugged directly into the Tascam, I'm just going to switch back and forth between the noise. Now I do have an air conditioner running. It is like right overhead, about a foot back and about a foot and a half up. So here's just a little bit of silence. So hopefully you can hear a slight difference there. I do have both of the mics set to the mid gain level in the Tascam, and the XM8500 is actually, I'm having to turn it all the way up on the mid gain level, whereas the Comica, I've only got it at like 1 o'clock on the dial, so about 60%. But as you probably heard there was a little bit more background noise when it's at that level because the mic is a lot hotter. The other thing you're probably noticing as I'm going back and forth is that the XM8500 deals with the echo of this room a little bit more. I don't have a treated room at the moment. That's one thing I'm going to be working toward, maybe just moving my whole setup backward and putting some sound dampening on the walls and behind the camera. But right now this is kind of an echoey room. It's a decent sized room and I haven't treated anything. It's just carpet and bare walls. So the Comica doesn't deal quite so well with that unless I hold it right up next to my mouth. The XM8500 seems to deal with it a little bit better. So for the time being, I'll probably continue to use my XM8500 and maybe actually use both mics at the same time. One plugged directly into my overhead camera or plugged directly into this main camera that I use. The other one plugged into my Tascam, just so I do have a backup audio source, because the sound quality out of the Comica is nice. I like the way that it sounds. The XM8500 is very similar, and again, in this room, it sounds a little bit better to me with my voice. Might sound different for you with your voice and your setup. For 20 bucks though, I'm gonna put a link to the XM8500. I think it's still 20 bucks. The Comica, it might be better for different scenarios. If you're farther away from the camera, the dynamic mic definitely ain't gonna do anything, whereas the Comica would probably catch a little bit of it. And one way or the other, for the price point, $170, $180, I think, it's not bad at all. It's not a $1,000 microphone. It's not a $15 microphone. And now the air just went off, so maybe we should do another quick test of the background noise. There you go, there's a quick comparison. But I'm not gonna say that I'm disappointed with the Comica. I think it definitely serves its purpose and it's going to be useful moving forward. If nothing else, maybe I'll just stick it on top of the camera and use it as the backup audio source in case something goes wrong, because you just never know. But thanks so much to Comica for sending these devices out for me to take a look at. Thanks to you guys for watching. Hit the thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe to receive more videos when they become available, and I'll see you again next time.